All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? It's weird to say we're less than a month away from Captain America: Brave New World, a movie that's still kind of in a weird way, in some kind of odd, ethereal kind of way, still feels to me like it's still 6 or 7 months off, but it's actually here. Now, we got the initial box office projections that said it's going to probably open anywhere between 85 to 95 million dollars, which we brought up some charts and put that in perspective. That would actually be a pretty good start for the film if it's able to get that. But now some initial numbers, or at least reports about the pre-ticket sales have come out, because you guys know that the tickets are now on sale. I've got my tickets for opening day. I'm sure a bunch of you guys do too. And they're good, but not great. According to the reports, the Captain America: Brave New World pre-advanced ticket sales are far outpacing some recent Marvel films like Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, and also outpacing, Eternals. It's also outpacing the Marvels, obviously, but it's not outpacing, Deadpool, Wolverine. It's not outpacing films like that. It's still outpacing when you compare it to some of the more contemporary films that are out right now. It's outpacing things like Mufasa, which is about to cross $600 million, by the way. It's outpacing things like Sonic 3, but it's not outpacing other films in theaters right now, like Wicked or Moana 2. So hearing that, it kind of does suggest that it might come right in that spot. That would be somewhere between 85 and 95 million dollars. Again, if it does come, let's go to the high end of that. If it does come in at $95 million, that would have been in the upper end, like definitely in the top 10 of the biggest film openings of 2024. We'll see how it comes, but it comes in kind of in the under the 50% mark of what the average MCU film opens to. Again, this movie, kind of like Superman, has a few things working against it, just different things. Number one, I think a lot of people, fair or unfair, because this might be unfair, but it's the reality. I think to some people are looking at this movie, it's just, oh, they're making a movie out of the TV show. And that was one of the risks. Remember, we talked about that when Falcon the Winter Soldier was coming out. We talked about the fact that this is a little bit of a gamble on their part, because if they still plan on using Sam and Bucky in the future theatrically, having them do a TV show right now might hurt that a little bit later down the line. So we could see some people just kind of looking at it not really as a theatrical event, but rather as a extension of the TV show. The second thing that's kind of working against it is, Anthony, I love you. You're awesome. And I love Sam. But to a lot of people, that's not Captain America. Steve Rogers is Captain America is Steve Rogers is Captain America is Steve Rogers is Captain America. Right? And while Falcon and the Winter Soldier did a pretty good job of letting us see Sam slowly transition into becoming that and taking on the mantle, the fact of the matter is, not everybody saw Falcon and the Winter Soldier, right? And there's going to be a lot of people, including me, admittedly, that I didn't want to see Bucky as Captain America, and I didn't want to see Sam as Captain America. I only want to see Steve Rogers as Captain America. And if Steve Rogers isn't there, then let Bucky keep being Winter Soldier and let Sam keep being Falcon, but Captain America isn't there anymore. So I'm open to being won over. Like I said, I think they did a good job with that transition in Falcon and Winter Soldier, but I still think that is something that is going to cause some people to have some trepidation about it, if that's a good word to use here. So if they can open this thing with the pre-ticket sales numbers they've got, and actually open it between 85 and 95 million dollars as an opening weekend, you take that as an unmitigated win. And if they can do that and get to that point, I think, Chris, Harrison Ford Hulk is certainly helping things. I think a lot of people, I know I'm excited to see Harrison Ford Hulk. So I don't know. What do you think about these pre-ticket sales numbers, and where do you think this movie's going to come in?
Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, PrizePicks. Are you guys like me, both a movie and a sports fan? Well, if so, then you know that the playoffs are here and it's now or never. If you love football and want to add some real excitement to the games, let me tell you about PrizePicks, the best place for your daily fantasy sports. So here's how it works. It's super simple. You just pick more or less on player projections. Think Patrick Mahomes will throw more than 1.5 touchdowns this week, or maybe Lamar Jackson will get over 250 passing yards. Make your picks in less than a minute and take your shot at winning up to 1,000 times your cash. Ann and I have been having a blast using PrizePicks every weekend. It's simple, it's fun, and it just makes watching the games that much more exciting. Plus, PrizePicks puts you first. With easy, fast, secure withdrawals, you can get your winnings in as little as 15 minutes, and they make deposits even easier. And right now, if you sign up today, you get $50 instantly when you play just $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. So don't wait. Download the app today and use the code Campea to get $50 instantly after playing your first $5 lineup. That's right, play for just $5 and you get a $50 bonus instantly. PrizePicks, run your game.
I feel like this is a little bit of an indication of some restored hope, because we had everyone freaking out over Deadpool and Wolverine, obviously, but that wasn't really connected to this MCU yet. Right? That was its own thing. That was a great kind of buddy project that we all wanted to go see. This is a return to the MCU that we all know or used to love, still love, however you feel about it. And I think that the steady progression of these films, the box office boom from Deadpool, but really Guardians of the Galaxy 3 and Agatha, restoring a little bit of that, okay, we're telling really good stories. Okay, we are doing character-driven stuff. There is a reason why I want to watch this. It's not just a whole bunch of like pieces that are maybe coming together at some point, one way or another, spaghetti at the wall. We kept having all those weird kind of post-credit scenes, right, where we have nothing happen at the end of it.
Just like drops narrative.
Hey, here's a new character. There you go. There's Hercules. So I think it's really great that we now have, I don't know why Butters had to yell about there's Hercules, but I think it's great that we have people having a restored sense of faith and wanting to get these tickets early on. I think it also speaks volumes that we're returning to that really fun genre within a genre of doing the spy thriller espionage kind of thing like we had with previous Captain America films. I think that's really important here too, when we play in that sandbox of, oh yeah, it's a superhero movie, but what's interesting is how these characters particularly deal with these situations in these different ways. I think that deadline projected box office between the 85 and 95 is a great number. I think that'd be wonderful for Marvel to hit that. You guys know me though, and I always feel guilty when I talk about this. I'm not a pre-ticket buyer. I'm always so excited about movies, and I never buy my tickets in advance just because my schedule changes so much. So I hope that you all, if you did want your tickets, have gotten them and are excited about them. But I'm still going to be that weirdo who shows up on the day 5 minutes before the movie, hoping I get to sit with my husband.
I don't even know how that works.
Well, we get two tickets next to each other, Jonathan, and then we sit next to each other.
Well, hoping like
we
on
hope
the day
so.
of
yeah.
on the day of, I mean.
It helps, though, too, when you go to the early showings,
Well,
which is what I
that's true.
usually do
That's
now,
true.
too,
Yeah,
because children are monsters, and I just can't sit in theaters with all you rude
That
people.
Regal, man, it is a storied theater.
It's a mess. I just messaged them to get a refund because I tried canceling, and they didn't take my cancellation.
As much as I used to hate on AMC back when I used to go to ArcLight, and this was actually even like pre-selected seats. Mm-hmm. I used to say AMC was just like a zoo. It was just crazy mayhem. Yeah. It's so much more like calm now compared to like your Regal.
It's just the location I go to.
Yeah.
But at that point, if I'm going to drive to a movie theater, well, I'm going to go to the AMC at Universal.
Yeah.
That one's so pretty. I like that one.
Yeah.
Those are my problems, though. That's not about this movie.
If the movie does come in between 85 and 95, again, I think that's an unmitigated win. I have my doubts it's going to get that number, though.
Oh, really?
I have my doubts. Like, I still think it's going to be a big opening. Like everybody raved about how huge the opening was for Sonic. I think it's going to have a bigger opening than Sonic, but I have my doubts. Hopefully I'm wrong. I just have my doubts that it's going to get to that 85, 95 million. I mean, it's going to get some from me because I already got my tickets. Anyway, you know what? Let's take a second. I want to pull this up because I have not looked at this. Let's go over and take a look at this for a second. Here I've got the Captain America Brave New World opening day. Let's look at the first reasonable showtime here. 5:30 p.m. All right, let's open that up.
Oh, that's my screen. Wait, I don't know. Yep, that's my screening. One of those is my seat.
All right, so this is not bad. See, I would consider this a sellout. Like in my head, if the only seats that are left are single seats and the front section, I kind of consider that a sellout. And this looks like it has that. Okay, so that's the 5:30. What about the 8:30? Let's bring up the 8:30. Again,
Yeah.
kind of a sellout. Okay, let's look over at IMAX. 8 p.m. IMAX.
Wow.
Wow.
Who is that? Who is that psycho?
You're sitting
the
right in the
first
middle at
row.
the very front. Okay.
Whoever it is, that's who
not
me and Logan
bad.
are going to end up next to.
Keep that man away from matches.
Okay, now we'll just go with a regular screen. Now, 4 o'clock's a weird time, but this is just not IMAX, not Dolby, just a regular screen they have there. They call it Prime AMC. Okay, so that's a 4 o'clock showing. That's a weird time.
Yeah.
But still got some tickets selling there. Yeah, it's all right. I mean, it doesn't look bad for starters. So I don't know. We'll see how it all turns out. Guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? About the pre-advanced ticket sales? They're good, but they're not great. The projections are still holding at 85 to 95 million opening weekend. Do you think it's actually going to be able to make those numbers? I admit I have some doubts. Maybe you think it's going to exceed those numbers. That would be great if it did. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, it's time for us to move on to our questions. And we're going to let Chris Carr go. She's got a long drive ahead of her to get home. So we're going to let her get out of here.
Thanks, man.
So, Chris, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
And where can people, we bring up and mention people all the time, but I still get people asking me sometimes. Chris is a vocal coach. How would I sign up for voice lessons? How can people do that if they wanted to, Chris?
Oh my gosh. All you have to do is head on over to speakfriendstudio.com. You can send us a message through there. We will have a new intro to VO course happening in February. I will be posting about that soon. Also, if you want to hear some of my voiceover work, as well as some of my students who got cast in this, go check out the podcast, Your Story Will Be Different. It's so fun. They are RPG games that have now been brought to a narrative style, and we all got to voice a bunch of characters in it. So go check that out on whatever podcast you choose.